Hey there, it's Renmar coming to you live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We are in the middle of the Snapdragon Pro Series Mobile Masters, the first ever for Mobile Legends Bang Bang. And we are gonna do a recap for day number 1. As you can see, a different setup. I don't have my usual stuff, mainly my mic, my lights and everything, but I'm still gonna do my best to try and deliver content for y'all. So let's go ahead and look at the format first, just to clarify some things. So we got one team from the host nation, which is Indonesia, and that is Team Liquid. That's why they are in this tournament. And one team from the Chinese qualifier as well, that's YB in game, because they won stage 1 of the Chinese Pro Invitational earlier this year. 10 teams qualified via their performance during Season 6 of the Snapdragon Pro Series, 5 from APAC, 3 from EMEA, and 2 from the LATAM Challenge Finals. The group stage will go on from April 7th to April 9th, and then there will be a break on April 10th before we do the playoffs from April 11th to April 13th. There are 12 teams divided into 2 groups, 6 teams each, single round robin. All matches are BO3, with the top 3 from each group advancing to the playoffs. For the playoffs of April 11 to April 13, it is a single elimination bracket. Top 2 seed from group stage gets a round 1 bye, meaning they are instantly going to the semi-finals. They just need to win that BO5 series before they go on over to the BO7 Grand Finals. Quarterfinals and semi-finals are played in a BO5, while the Grand Final is played in a best of 7. As for the prize pool, it is $200,000 split amongst the participants, with first place getting $80,000, second getting $40,000, while the third and fourth place will be splitting $20K. With that done, let's look at the group standings and how they look at the end of day number 1. In Group A, Onyx Philippines is on top with 5 points, undefeated in matches, but they did drop a game against Team Liquid Indonesia. Papara Supermassive from Turkey, the EMEA region, are actually sitting at the second place with 4 points, winning 1 match against Influence Rage and losing the other to YB in game. Influence Rage, they did drop their match against Papara Supermassive, but the biggest surprise of the day was when they were able to sweep Bigatron Esports. So that makes Group A so much more interesting with that story, considering that Influence Rage is a team that was quite overlooked heading into this tournament, and they were able to get a prolific win against Bigatron Esports, sweeping them. Team Liquid ID stands at a tie with Influence Rage at 3 points, and after their performance yesterday against Bigatron Esports, I wouldn't be surprised if Team Influence Rage could actually maybe dish out a surprise against Team Liquid Indonesia. I don't know anymore. This is why I love tournaments such as the SPS, because you really get to see some very surprising results. YB in game, it was a rough day for them, but they were still able to walk away with 2 points as they won 1 match, again against Papara Supermassive. They won that 2-1, but they did get swept by Onyx Philippines. And Bigatron Esports has not won a match yet in the SPS. They lost 1-2 to Team Liquid Indonesia, and of course the sweep against Influence Rage. Meanwhile, at Group B, RRQ Hoshi is 6 points, and they have not dropped a single game. So that is 2 sweeps from them after they defeated Team Falcons Mena and Alpha 7 Esports from Brazil and LATAM. Onyx Indonesia, or Onyx Esports, the not Onyx Philippines, they are standing at a 2-0 record as well. However, they did drop 1 game against Team Falcons PH, which is why they stand at 5 points. Team Falcons Philippines swept Aurora Turkey at the end of the day, dominating win for them, but they were able to get at least 1 point when they dropped the series to Onyx Esports. Aurora Turkey got swept by Team Falcons PH, as we mentioned, but they did get their win over Team Falcons Mena, while Alpha 7 and Team Falcons Mena are struggling in Group B, not getting a single game or series win. And unfortunate as well for Team Falcons Mena is that they received the fastest game loss yesterday. I think it was at around 9 minutes and 30, around less than the 10-minute mark when they lost to RRQ Hoshi. I believe it was in that game number 2. So yeah, day 1 was actually quite surprising, again because of the result of Influence Rage against Bigatron Esports, and and let's try to look at the matches one by one to see if there's some crazy stuff that we can see. So for Group A, it started off with Team Liquid Indonesia versus Bigetron Alpha. Eman got one MVP, but then Fabian really showed up in games 2 and 3, especially with his Suyo, and with Aran getting his signature Hilda pick and them running a very aggressive lineup. It was a very back and forth game 2 and 3, as the lineups for both teams, as you can see on your screen right now, their drafts, there's a lot of room for error and yet a lot of room to cancel out wins of your opponents with those kinds. And it's actually surprising to see Claude game come in at the top of the day for SPS, as this was not the only Claude game. I believe there were a couple others throughout the day as well. Onyx PH versus YBN game was just straight up stomp. This was just insanity what the Onyx Philippines brought against YBN game. It was a harsh welcome to them to the international stage. However, in game number 1 and even in game number 2, there were some things that YBN game were doing with the early game rotations, especially for the first 3 to 4 minutes, that made Onyx Philippines struggle a little bit. And you can tell that the aggressive pickoff style of Chinese teams do really well in the early to mid if they are not cancelled out by good rotations and clapbacks at around the 5-minute mark onwards, which is what brought Onyx Philippines back into the 2 games. And then they just completely ran away with it. The mid to late game of teams from more prolific and experienced MLBB regions is just something else right now. Papara Supermassive and Influence Rage had a long back and forth. We saw an Odette get played in this game. Was not able to watch this game yet, but I think I should really go back and watch it, considering that Influence Rage did sweep Bigetron Esports. Onyx versus TLID was a long series, except for game number 2, where it looked like Onyx Philippines were just absolutely pissed off that they dropped game number 1 against Team Liquid ID. It was Team Liquid ID in the lead in game 1, then Onyx Philippines. Team Liquid ID was in the lead for majority of game number 1. Onyx PH found a way to come back because they do have a better mid to late game lineup around the Sicilian and Hanzo, but Onyx Philippines committed a slight error. They gave too much room for Team Liquid ID to punish them invading their orange side of the jungle. Widdy and the rest of Onyx Philippines just chased Team Liquid. Onyx Philippines were chased by the members of Team Liquid ID, and then Onyx Philippines dropped that game, dominated, hands down, no question, in game number 2. While game number 3 was much closer. It boiled down to the wire for the late Lord objective team fights, which Onyx Philippines were able to get the W in. Influence Rage versus BTR. Now this is one that I do wish I was able to get back and watch. Bigetron Esports was able to extend the game very long, though. Influence Rage was actually in the lead for majority of it. Jotun was unkillable for majority of it, and if I'm not mistaken, he only ended with like 1 to 3 deaths, very minimal on that Suyo. It was just Bigetron Esports really holding on as long as they could, but in the end, Influence Rage was just able to take the W. Game number 1, I wasn't able to get a lot of eyes on, but you can see that there are some quite, I wouldn't call it experimentation, but maybe I guess experimentation is the right way to look at it, with them trying some things out, playing the Lunox in the mid lane, very close range dive heavy lineup for Bigetron Esports. Same for Influence Rage. There's just a little bit more range from Influence Rage with their low Yi, but looking at the lineup of Influence Rage, it really looks like it could do well against the lineup of Bigetron Esports. While in game number 2, I would lean a little bit more towards Bigetron Esports in terms of the draft here, but considering that Fannies can be quite hit or miss, especially if you're going up against a team where the opposing jungler is doing really well, and you're going up against a Hilda as well. Even though there is a glue on the side of Bigetron, and team fights could be difficult for Influence Rage. Influence Rage's lineup is quite dive heavy. They can afford to be scrappy. It's not really front to back, and that's what Glue isn't really happy with. Glue wants a little bit more honest front to back style team fight, and that's the lineup of Bigetron Esports, considering they're also playing around a Faramis and a Granger, while Influence Rage can afford to be a little bit more messy, while allowing the individual heroes in their lineup to shine really well, and I think that's why they were able to beat Bigatron Esports. And based from the comments as well, it looks like it wasn't a good day on the fanny for Annabelle, and that's why Influence Rage was able to take it. So congratulations to them. That's a very big win for Brazil and LATAM, considering that the region has been struggling in international tournaments. So they can be very, very proud of themselves. The Brazilians and Latin Americans can be very proud of what Influence Rage was able to do, taking a 2-0 win over Bigatron Esports in the group stages. YBN Game versus Papara Supermassive, it was just based on what I saw from the numbers, it was just a lot of kills. A lot of kills. And in terms of the drafting here, honestly, nothing too crazy with the picks. You have Matilda Alpha for Papara Supermassive paired up with Bruno. Great line of thinking there. Papara even brought out a Toms to go for a strong front that's very dual and fight centric, especially paired up with a Badang Roam and then a Lucas jungle as well. But YBN Game has a lineup to disrupt that somewhat. But playing up against the Faramis, if I'm not mistaken, from the couple of clips that I saw, was the Faramis that was really part of the big problems as to why YBN Game was pushed to the limit here. While for YBN Game, you could really see their strategies when it comes to the Chinese team. Strong pick off, surprise, play around your roamer, catching the opposing team off guard. Strong side EXP laner. In the one game where they didn't play a strong side EXP and they played a a high loss that's a little bit more, stand here, heal, can be offensive, but it's very dependent on what happens in the rest of the map. They lost, but that was a long game. But it's very happy as well that YBN Game was able to take that series win against Papara Supermassive, because again, look at the triangle. Supermassive swept Influence Rage. Influence Rage swept Bigatron Esports. YBN Game was able to take 2-1 over Supermassive. So I like how in Group A, Influence Rage, Supermassive, and YBN Game all have a potential to threaten either Bigatron Esports and Team Liquid ID's spot in the group. Maybe even Onyx. Who knows? We don't know. It's only one day. Day 2 is gonna start once this video is posted, or a few hours after this video is posted. Now looking at Group B, Onyx versus Team Falcons PH was a wild series. It was just two teams clearly showing just how well they know each other. But in game number 3, Kiboy, Sans, and Kyrie were just too much to handle for the center of the map for Team Falcons Philippines, and they were able to continue their series win streak against this roster, of course, with their history against each other. Now they were able to take them down to the playoffs of SPS Season 6 APAC Challenge Finals. Now they continue their win streak against Falcons PH. For RQ versus Alpha 7, wasn't able to see this, but from what I heard, it was just a tough time going for Alpha 7. Although they were able to extend game number 2 a little bit longer, it was just RQ Hochi playing very well. Aurora Turkey versus Team Falcons. This I got to see clips of, and it was messy in all the best ways possible. I mean that. I like it when you see international teams that there's a lot of kills, lots of fights. Sometimes they can't convert, or they overlook a conversion after getting kills. But in this scenario, in Aurora Turkey versus Team Falcons, there were just times where fights would happen and the minion waves weren't set up well enough, but because the other team forced it now. Okay, if we lose this, they can't do anything about it because the minions aren't quite there yet. So it was just 2 games of that. It was a sweep for Aurora Turkey, but if you look back, Aurora Turkey had to do a lot, and they were busy trying to outfight Team Falcons Mena to get that sweep win. RQ versus Falcons, from what I heard, it was, you can see there, 9 minutes 56 seconds, and then 9 minutes and 30 seconds. It's a one-sided affair, not much to talk about there, and RQ Hochi are leading the pack in Group B, as we showed earlier. Onyx Esports versus Alpha 7 Esports went long. We see Nolan get drafted in there. Hanzo, Alpha 7 tried to take that, but with how it looks like it, Onyx are really playing very well around Sans getting a Sicilian in his hands, and I think that's something you have to watch out for. And Kiboy Suns and Kyrie really are the stars of the team, but the effect that Ryota brings to the table for team fighting, he understands his role very well for fronting as a sub-roamer for Kiboy, or being the guy to say, I will take the damage, I will get the info, I'll get the first go in this sequence. Just make sure you guys follow me up. Very, very solid performance from Ryota in day number 1 based on the games that we saw from Onyx Esports, and I'm excited for Onyx fans, for the Indonesian Sonics, and Sonics all over the world, and for Ryota, who I'm very happy is getting international experience like this, because I feel like he's often been one of the overlooked players in the Philippines, and it's really good to see that Atoy R, the new general as we call him, is getting some good opportunities. Meanwhile, Team Falcons PH versus Aurora Turkey, yeah, it was just very tough for Aurora Turkey. It was a great series overall for Team Falcons PH. Ogwen and the Kaleo was so freaking deadly in game number 1. It stopped what TNZ and Aurora Turkey were doing around the first turtle and around the first 5-6 minutes of the game or so, up until Team Falcons PH just like, you know what, the moment we see someone, let's just kill him. They played around the diversion of a few very well. They kept stealing the purple buff away from TNZ. And yeah, Team Falcons PH got to recover from what was a quite competitive and Aurora Turkey controlled first 5 or so minutes of the game that was on their hands. And then game number 2, Aurora Turkey tried to play the Alice Angela combo, which in recent memory, of course, Twisted Minds, if you watch MPL Philippines, were the team to really bring that back. But heading into M6, Aurora Turkey, this roster, when they were Ulfidnar, Incendio, or Fireflux, I can't recall what they were at that time. Yeah, that roster, they were one of the teams in the world that played a lot of Angela Alice. And if I'm not mistaken, heading either into MSC or M6, one of those two tournaments, they were 6-0 with the Angela Alice combo. So this is very comfortable for them. But up against the pick-off centric style of Team Falcons Philippines in that game number 2, how you're facing off against a different team from a very different region, playing the Angela Rome mid Juicin is quite a dangerous game to play. Because when Twisted Minds played it now, what they did was they put Alice in the jungle, then they put a fighter into mid or an Angela Rome, or Angela mid and something like a Gacha Rome, something tankier and beefier, to make sure that the center of the map isn't so vulnerable to aggressive plays, pickoffs, and a fast tempo, which Aurora Turkey were just completely out of their game against Team Falcons PH in game number 2. With that recap out of the way, now let's take a quick look at the meta for the Mobile Masters so far. So Suyo and Matilda are actually the most contested heroes across 28 games. They were pick or banned for every single one of them. Phovius, Harith, Fanny, very close next to that. Then Luoyi, Juicin, Kalea, Hilda. So you can visualize it based off of looking just the pick bans. That's where we are at the meta right now. We're lorded over by these heroes. I would say up until the... make it up until the Choglu Badang. There we go. For these top 18 heroes, so Suyo, Matilda, Phovius onwards, yeah, a lot of the trades are going on there, and you really see a lot of these heroes show up. You see Juicin is actually getting reduced in terms of the pick ban, because I believe in the PH she's closer to like 95-100% in terms of her pick ban rate. But if we look at the Juicin's pick rate, yeah, she's been picked like 10 times. That's a good amount. Bans are still up there for her, but out of 28 games, she was only banned for 16. Then she was picked for 9 of them. So there were 3 games where we didn't even get to see Juicin show up in the draft at all, which is quite surprising. But it goes to show how this meta is little by little evolving. Although, again, I made the video we made last time, it's still revolving around the same heroes, but in terms of when they are prioritized and how much they are prioritized is what's changing. Of course, Kalea coming up makes her one of the hottest picks to go for, and she's still one of the highest contested heroes. Ju Sin being let through, Sicilian getting really shown up more as a favored mid lane pick. Vexana was only picked 4 times yesterday, so she is falling out of favor with teams wanting to go for either the Ju Sin, Sicilian, Lo Yi, or Farsa more. So that's where we're revolving around for the mid lane pickups. In terms of the bans, Matilda, Lo Yi, Fanny, these 3 are usually red side bans. Phovius is coming up, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit more as a blue side ban, because Phovius is a strong first 2 picks, but then there are teams that also ban it as one of their bans on the red side priority, so that they don't give it in the blue 2 to 3 spot of the draft. So yeah, just a very quick look at where we are right now. The meta: Suyo, Harith, Hilda, Sicilian, Jawhead, if I'm not mistaken, still ruling in the win rates. Kalea is quite here or there, so she's playing around 45-46% in the win rate. CC is actually in the undefeated, so we'll see. There were 3 Claude games. Okay, so it wasn't just 2, there were 3. And Claude has no losses. Interesting. Alright, let's see if more teams will pick out the Claude. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching this day 1 recap. I cannot promise a recap for every single day because I do not have a lot of time. It also depends on my schedule and what the casts I get for the day. But yeah, that's it for the day 1 recap of the Snapdragon Pro Series Mobile Masters. Thanks for watching. See you in the broadcast. I'm casting in Filipino, so if you're looking for me in English, I won't be there, but I'll be in Filipino. Okay? Thanks. See ya. Bye.